Let me preface this by stating that some of the claims made in this video, for all legal intensive purposes, are alleged. I'll be using this word, allegedly, quite a bit to make sure that you, as a viewer, know which claims these are. So I encourage you to read the fine print and make your own conclusions. I'm also going to be a lot more opinionated and expressive than the last one, so keep that in mind, thanks. One of my biggest hopes when releasing this video was to reach the community and fans of Forgotten Memories. I wanted it to serve in the same way that it did to me as a clarification and a learning experience for developers. It'd be another cautionary tale involving the Little Red Riding Hood Roblox user falling victim to the merciless wolves, salivating at the chance to sink their teeth and rip away their work. Because trust me, there are plenty. So imagine the surprise when I find that the loudest source of resentment and opposition about the video comes from neither Sif nor Venom, but fellow developers. Developers of which I never directly mention in the video. In fact, the only implication of their existence out of this entire 3-year timeline comes from this 5-second clip. He also states that they've already taken their own initiative behind the scenes to work on the next large-scale update. Did you miss it? It's right there. Wait, no, wait, right there. They also took great offense, even going as far as calling it an attack on quote-unquote their personal image, referencing a closing statement I made calling their update release a mess. They rallied around this video, backed by their frustrations and struggles with Forgotten Memories, to make statements like, "Where were you when we were losing sleep for a month? You had 3 years, we had 2 months. You caused this update to be poor, and that I took shots at the new dev team because I would never expect them to intervene." Well guys, I know I said a lot, but let's not go after me, yeah? I think we're losing the plot, right? I mean, I didn't even know you existed till well over a month after you were selected by your own admission. Trust me, you're not the first one. You come to my Discord wanting to talk one-on-one, saying you tried reaching out to me before and that you're not on any definitive side. Wait, no, that you're definitely leaning on one side. Glad you cleared it up. Arguing that there's stuff that I didn't put in the video, that I left out the facts, the details, and that it's a smear campaign at its core, from a neutral standpoint. 1. If I had included every conversation, every message, every exchange spanning over 3 years, then there wouldn't be a video. I'd still be making it. 2. You're right. There were a few big points of information that I didn't include. Like that one time at 1:32 a.m. on November 23rd, 2025 when Venom called me through a private number on my personal cell phone, allegedly. And no, I never gave my phone number to him or Sift, or anyone on Roblox for that matter. You assured people that you're a third party, and that you let the community think on their own accord, and then proceed to lie to them. As a testament of my respect to your contributions to Forgotten Memories, and as a fellow developer, I'm gonna spend as much time addressing you guys now, and only now, as I did in the first video, times like 5. This is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, you're just being petty. This is wrong, this is wrong, this is blatantly wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is just sad. And this is wrong, and I even corrected you. I'd hate to have a civil dispute, but coupled with the bingo card, the live streaming, the screenshotting, so you can go to Venom's DMs and call me a partial nut job, then go on several rants in your Discord voice chat to say something like,
I'm not comparing the attributions of Rocket. Actually, I won't make this comparison. I was going to make a Hitler comparison.
It seems, at least to me, that you're not as unbiased as you claim to be, even if you apologize in my DMs. Now that we're done with that, a quick update on the situation between me and the 2 other owners of Forgotten Memories, because the route they seem to be making is based off of misinformation, flaunting a quote-unquote Google Doc, and the exact same angle that they've held before, that I was holding the game back. Sift added me to a group chat with Venom, to then send a 5-paragraph long message doubling down on their decision to remove me, as it was, quote-unquote, best for the game, stating that it's wrong to villainize them, that in the same reason that it's our game is the same reason that they are allowed to remove me. Without compensation, but he doesn't say that. That I killed the game because of a quote-unquote unacceptable, end quote, 2-year-long tenor of not updating it, which, for clarification, I feel I should point out since a lot of the opposition is getting this timeline wrong, even though I've made a 26-minute video discussing this. It was not 3 years, it was not 2 years, it was from May 2024 to October 2025 that I was actively working on the Asylum/framework, excluding the months I spent in university. This entire life cycle of developmental progress hinged on the sole fact that I would be largely inactive during my semester months, which normally would have been from August to late April, but I often sacrificed time from classes to work on the game until the first semester midterms in November. So realistically, I had worked from months May to November every year for the past 3 years, without counting seasonal breaks like spring break, winter break, etc. So although he's technically right that I didn't update the main game for 2 years, these other developers don't make this distinction and conflate it to that I didn't do any work for 2 to 3 years and that I was lazy. This is just bad faith. He quotes that when I went unresponsive for 2 to 3 months, they didn't know what else to do. But my last contact as a developer with them was on September 4th, 2025. Venom sent me the DM of my removal on October 17th, 2025, which is not 2 to 3 months and was documented in the video. But it's obvious that they're stretching this timeline to include the following months, until I sent them the final message in the group chat on December 15th, 2025, which doesn't matter because I was already removed 2 months prior. that they took offense to the times I told them, quote unquote, to work on their own games, despite them caring so much for forgotten memories as a quote meant a lot to them. This is true, and something I would respond with whenever they pressed me over progress, which conveniently always seemed to happen during the months I was in school. And they did work on these other projects. If we recall that three times Venom used the Cubics community to promote or hire for his other projects, some of which were released even before Forgotten Memories, and this is only including the games I hinted at in the video. It seemed like they were doing their own thing way before I even told them anything. They also state that they highly valued my position on the team and contributions to the game, but felt that after 2 to 3 months of quote straight up nothing, again this is 1 month, they had no other choice. They criticized my actions of quote hiding development by exclusively writing the framework in a place that I owned, and one of which they didn't have studio access to, but could play at any time. It's also the same place that I had an earlier scripter, Boxrum, work with me on. He says that because of the studio restriction, they could never see firsthand what progress was looking like, which is misleading, because as I had shared in the last video, I showed progress through videos, images, or walkthroughs whenever certain features were done or some things needed to be tested. A lot of the code was also done in the back end, something that isn't visually impressive. He also dedicates a paragraph to communicate about the things they did wrong, starting off by talking about my absence and lack of developmental speed, but eventually goes on to talk about how he should have been more observant and managerial over hiring and finding of other scripters, but then make sure to mention that it was my responsibility because I said so and it's my area, and that my individual progress didn't have much to show over the span of time either way. For a paragraph about things they did wrong, seems to be a lot more about me than them. He then goes on to talk about the quote backdoors that I wrote into the game to circumvent my removal, saying that I should have told them that it wasn't the right thing to do and that he remembers agreeing on the compromise to write contracts but recalls that I couldn't do it for quote whatever reason, that reason being stated in the video here. But ultimately, within the confines of being underage, I decided that to write up a legally sound contract and to file it would be way too much work than it is worth, so I just assumed the risk. This was a mistake. He puts in bold letters that I said I was going to remove the backdoors myself, and that he took my word for it, but realized that I quote never removed the backdoors, and that they were in the game for those entire 4 years after the game's release. First, it wasn't 4 years, it was hardly 3. Second, the scripter who initially discovered this quote unquote backdoor had also written a plugin to automatically remove these lines of code, which Sift explicitly told him to do at the time. Now, I can't recall the exact actions I made directly after and whether I did a thorough search to remove this line from every and each script, but from an educated guess, it is likely that I trusted the plugin would remove the majority, if not all, occurrences of this code, and thus I only did a light search. Now just revealed to me, seems like he missed a few, which, albeit, would have never been an issue if they didn't perform the exact thing I was trying to protect against. He then uses this as a revelation that I wasn't as trustworthy as they initially thought, and that they quote really got tricked into thinking that I trusted them. He then goes on to state that despite all of this, that he, me, and Venom have all made mistakes throughout how we carried ourselves and communicated our vision for the future of the project, stating that they've shared some of their concerns and that there are concerns that I have yet to make public, which is very true. Like, why are we flaunting our quote devious lick of assets? Oh wait, an entire game. Venom, how did we get these assets? Is it from Pathos? And why is this other guy saying you stole his entire game? Synapse even doesn't even seem to be aware that I existed, or is that something you both didn't disclose to other people to make it seem like you guys made the game? Let's post about bullying this ex-friend and developer partner of Venom. Apparently he made the entire chapter 2 for a game of yours, was owed money, and then was blocked. I'm starting to notice a pattern. And of course, let's pour salt on the wound and make sure that he knows he'll never get his quote 100k back. Venom, whose IP did you steal here? Was it from Pathos Honorary? Sift, is that Synapse X downloaded on your PC? Why do you have a save file from a game you never developed for but have clearly played? And why is it that when Venom's accounts get compromised, no one seems to have an explanation? But this guy gave a pretty plausible one. In that one build with that fire tower that you showed me a few times, claiming it's yours, why are we getting on a voice call and then screen sharing the stolen game file to the actual creator?
See it.
So me and Scythe made this.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Can you see it? Just tell me what you think.
Send it, bro. Let's see it. What? How'd you get my game?
What?
My game.
Bro, are you okay?
How'd you get my fire tower?
What are you talking about?
How'd you get my fire tower?
Bro, we literally made this game from scratch. Are you okay?
Yeah, you dude. Whatever.
Bro, we did.
Yeah, how did you get that fire tower? And even apologizes for his quote lack of professionalism, which as stated can be attributed to his lack of experience in younger age. He highlights the disconnect between the goals we shared for the project, mentioning that it wasn't just a passion project for them, that it became much more, and therefore I couldn't blame them for wanting to go further with it and trying to take the opportunity as far as they could. Whatever that means. He then goes on a rant about Chapter 2 and what's already known, stating how it wasn't up to standard and that they had to bring on 2 new scripters to make a framework in 2 months, which took me, quote unquote, 2 years. I think we could tell it took 2 months, Sift. Thanks for pointing out the obvious. After a little more blabber about the conditions and constraints that I apparently forced upon them because of a plan I never knew about, he goes on to state that the Chapter 2 framework hadn't been started until after I was removed from the team, and that they didn't even have the team selected when they removed me, which is contradictory to the account of their own scripter, who documented that he was added as early as September. So what is the actual timeline, Sift? He states that they really hoped I would come through in the 1 to 2 months that followed before they committed to their decision, because apparently they weren't committed when they removed my access, my revenue, and my ownership. He then uses this to state that the pause was the reason for the update's poor release. Regardless, he personally thinks that all of the things that they were able to accomplish in that amount of time was nothing short of remarkable. That they felt immensely pressured to release it when they did, not just because of the movie, but because of a, quote, desperate community that had been waiting over 2 years for an update, and that they were just inexperienced and felt susceptible to the heat of the moment. Just so we're clear, they announced the release of Chapter 2 as far back as November 1st, which is, per his timeline, less than a month into development. They recognize how the release perhaps tainted my work and how it might have affected the game's reputation, and thus my work's reputation, and then proceeds to outline this proposition going forward. They insist that they've grown and they still want the best for the game, for the second time now. They state that they want to integrate the entire team between themselves, me, and the new scripters they brought on board to make, you guessed it, Forgotten Memories 2, quoting that they can jump ship from the quoting that they can jump ship from the mess they made and move on to a fresh slate with everyone involved, saying that I would get a lot of percentage back, and that he's comfortable with me having more than him as long as it's worth it, but 55%, nah, that's unreasonable. Insisting that I can reason with this cut given that there are more people on the team, and that this time he wants the percentage to reflect work put into the project, and not whoever had the idea at the beginning, or any of that other nonsense that we apparently decided on? Not sure if he's trying to imply that my percentage was based on me bringing the idea for the game. Not the tens of thousands of lines of code, the dozens of animations, the hundreds of hours of testing, bug fixing, or maybe this is a shot at Venom. I mean, he didn't do much after Chapter 1 other than try and start a handful of his own failed projects. He also emphasizes that he wants to create something up to a higher standard, even higher than the original, and to bring the game back on its feet the right way. Right. He then asks to take this into consideration after gaining a little bit of insight into their side, hoping that we can work together moving forward, reminiscing about the old dev calls we would have almost every night back in 2022, and that it was really fun to work on the game. I respond within the same day, redirecting them to my legal counsel, because God knows they would have never tried talking to me if I hadn't published the last video. But out of this entire excuse of a good faith resolution that takes zero accountability, answers to none of the actual allegations, tries to downplay my contributions, and just blatantly lies, Venom's message was nowhere to be found. Yet again, I have Sif speaking on behalf of both of them, because this is so far beneath Venom. I mean, why would he even try to reach out? Scrap the nearly 3 years worth of tutoring, helping him learn Roblox Studio and development, creating his biggest project to date? Nah. Venom's got access to top CCU devs now, remember? He's a big deal. As of recording, almost a month after I released the first video, they finally issued a public statement with the release of the Google document that their new development team has been talking about. And I gotta say, for something that was hyped to be a collection of receipts and contradictory points that was supposed to debunk every point I talk about in both screenshots, videos, and studio files, this was pretty underwhelming. I mean, guys, why are we dedicating the first paragraph to arguing about who came up with the idea first? I thought the whole point was that it didn't matter. Apparently, I wanted to make a traditional FNAF game while Venom pushed the game to be multiplayer and free roam, even though I was the first one to bring up the idea of introducing free roam into FNAF and integrating multiplayer in a conversation that happened a day prior than any of the screenshots you provided, conveniently. Like, why are we lying? We're also making a huge logical leap by saying that this screenshot, where I say mechanics resembling FNAF, means that my vision of the game wouldn't be a FNAF game to begin with, but that it would have stationary mechanics like the original FNAF games, despite me in the next message saying that that's where free roam would come in and how it would be a mesh of the two, but conveniently we cut that part out. God. The rest of the document follows a similar pattern, discussing events I've already included in the previous video, addressing none of the actual allegations, and just flat out lying, even with something as petty as this one point that I never disclosed the moderation system to them, despite me messaging them about it as early as November 25th, 2024. Now about me. Truth be told, I'm not a saint. I don't want to frame myself to be this defenseless, outspoken victim. Realistically, the environment had been toxic from the start, and our language reflected that. I was good friends with Venom from 2020 to no more than 2023, where I realized how disconnected I've become from his online degenerate, childish antics. I feel ashamed to have ever shared a development space with these individuals, and I take full responsibility for my tenor of working with them. In the closing statement of their response, they mentioned that they don't want to turn this into a back and forth, because there's not much more they can say, nor do they actually want to make amends. I haven't received any compensation, none of my credits back, or any communication with my legal counsel. One more thing. A lot of people are curious, and there's been a lot of misinformation regarding the legal proceedings and actions I'm taking to protect my rights. No, I never filed a lawsuit, and it was never a failed legal attempt, despite being a popular misconception. I tried to reach out in good faith in both my written and a formally written demand letter with the help of a law firm. These individuals chose to ignore the former, then deny the latter, citing these arguments: prolonged non-performance, extended non-communication, and internal risk management concerns. Which, surprise, doesn't actually address anything in a demand letter. I was even advised to sue, but lawsuits are costly and timely. Not a lot of people have the privilege and resources to take these things to court. In this case, I not only would be incurring a lot of expenses in the overall process, but I wouldn't even be able to file the initial lawsuit without first subpoenaing for their legal names, complicating the legal endeavor even further. I look at what they've done with Forgotten Memories, how they lost the community with their recent update. Is a lawsuit worth it? Even if I were to win, would it be smart to try and reclaim ownership or push for copyright infringement? If so, what would the reparations look like? Would it be enough to cover the legal costs? These are all things you have to think about, and is something I've put into great consideration. Lastly, I want to thank my community and everyone who has reached out. A lot of you guys have come to me sharing similar experiences, opportunities, and an immense amount of support. You guys rock. Thank you so much. My passion lies in making horror games, and I want to continue to do that. Therefore, I intend to follow up this video with an announcement of my next endeavor and everything about it. I hope to capture that same excitement with the initial release of Forgotten Memories and bring something that doesn't exist on Roblox. So stay tuned. Thanks again.